Here's something that blew my mind. PAPPY scientists discovered that when a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly, it completely dissolves into cellular soup before rebuilding itself. And that's exactly what we're exploring today when we talk about true transformation and renewal.
That's such a powerful metaphor for change, Ben, and it really connects to this deeper understanding of transformation we're seeing in both science and spirituality.
You know what's fascinating about this? When we look at the original Greek text about becoming a new creation, it's not talking about minor adjustments. It's describing something that's never existed before. It's a complete rebuild from the ground up.
Hmm. So we're not just talking about the typical New Year's resolutions here, are we?
Not at all. Research shows that about 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by February because they focus on surface level changes. But what we're exploring is something much more fundamental. It's like the difference between repainting a house and rebuilding it from the foundation up.
That reminds me of this remarkable case study I came across about transformation. Would you like to hear about it?
Please share that. I think it could really illuminate what we're discussing.
Well, it was about someone who had struggled with addiction for 15 years. They'd tried 12 different recovery programs, but nothing stuck until they approached change from this perspective of complete transformation rather than just behavior modification.
You know what's fascinating about that? It aligns perfectly with recent neuroscience research. Studies show that when we experience true transformation, we're literally rewiring our neural pathways. It's not just about willpower, it's about creating entirely new neural networks.
That's exactly what makes this so different from traditional approaches to change. But how do we actually create the conditions for this kind of transformation?
Well, I've been studying this, and here's what's interesting. It turns out there are three key elements that neuroscientists have identified. First, there's what they call environmental enrichment, creating conditions that support new patterns. Second, there's the concept of neural plasticity windows, specific periods when our brains are more receptive to change. And third, there's this fascinating principle of selective pruning, actually letting go of old patterns to make room for new ones.
So, if we're thinking about this in practical terms, how does that translate to everyday life?
Here's where it gets really interesting. Studies show that successful transformation often follows a pattern similar to that butterfly metamorphosis. There's typically a period of dissolution, what psychologists call productive discomfort, before the new patterns emerge. About 67% of lasting personal transformations include this phase.
That's making me think about how we often resist that uncomfortable middle stage, that cellular soup phase, if you will.
Exactly right. And you know what's fascinating? Research from the Harvard Business School shows that organizations that embrace this transformational uncertainty are 3.5 times more likely to achieve lasting change than those that try to force immediate results.
Hmm. So maybe our approach to New Year's resolutions has been completely backward.
Well, the data certainly suggests that. Studies show that people who focus on creating conditions for transformation rather than setting specific goals are 2.4 times more likely to achieve lasting change. It's like the difference between forcing a flower to bloom and creating the perfect environment for natural growth.
That's such a paradigm shift in how we think about change. What would you say are the practical takeaways from all this?
Well, based on the research, there are three key principles. First, transformation requires space. You need to intentionally clear out old patterns. Second, it's cyclical. Studies show that successful change often follows a 90-day renewal cycle. And third, and this is crucial, it's not about forcing change, but about creating conditions where transformation becomes natural.
You know, that really changes how we might approach the new year, doesn't it?
Absolutely right. Instead of making resolutions, we might ask different questions. What am I holding on to that's preventing growth? Or how can I create space for natural transformation? It's about shifting from a forcing mindset to a fostering mindset.
That's really giving me a new perspective on what it means to embrace change and new beginnings.
And here's what I find most encouraging about all this. When we understand transformation this way, every day carries the potential for renewal. It's not about waiting for January 1st or any other arbitrary date. It's about being open to this continuous process of becoming something new.
That's such a hopeful way to look at change and transformation, Ben.
You know what, Pappy? The research backs that up too. Studies show that people who view transformation as an ongoing process rather than a one time event are 76% more likely to experience lasting positive change. It's not about the destination, it's about embracing the journey of continuous renewal.